Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, don't do unboxings, might do a few playthroughs in the future, but today we're going to be talking about another set of 5 small box bangers. Stipulation for this video is that each game has to come in a relatively small box. It has to be a complete and utter fucking banger, right? So if your favourite small box banger ain't on this list, that's because A, we ain't played it, or B, we think it's complete and utter dog shit. So remember, if you are new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel with the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. See you after this. Bollocks. So number 5 on our list of 5 small box bangers that you can get today is a game that, did it win the Spiel des Jahres, or maybe it was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres a number of years ago. It is a game called The Game, yeah? We picked this up for £1 on Temu. I don't know if it's a Chinese knockoff, pretty sure it is, but I haven't got a fucking moral compass, so fuck it. In the game, you're going to place 4 cards out onto the table. 2 of them are going to have 100 on it, and 2 of them are going to have 1 on it, yeah? On your turn, you are going to have a number of cards in your hand, dependent on how many players you are playing with, and you'll have to play at least 2 cards onto each of these piles, yeah? You'll have to play either cards that are lower than 100 to start with, or higher than 1 on the other piles, yeah? Depending on what people have played previously, you'll still have to adhere to the ascending or descending rule. But if you have a card that is exactly 10 above the descending pile or 10 below the ascending pile, then you can play that card, and you can sort of higher or lower the threshold that you'll need to play the cards. If you manage to get through all the deck, then you win the game. It is some kind of bollocks point-based system, but fuck it, we just like to play the win or lose thing. We have got down to 3 cards with this, and it was agonisingly close that we didn't beat the game, but it's fucking awesome, yeah? I can see why this was nominated for all the awards that it had, and yeah, it might take you a couple of weeks to get it shipped over from China, but fucked if I'm paying 20 quid for a bunch of cards, right? So the next game on our list of 5 small box bangers that you absolutely have to fucking play before the day you die, which in your case might be pretty soon, is a game called Dutch Blitz. This is a game for 1 to 4 players, and if you get the expansion pack, which is basically a load of cards that are the same but in different colours, then you can play with up to 8 players. This is a simultaneous game, so everyone's going to be going ape shit at once. It's similar to games like Pit and all that sort of thing, where each player is going to have their own deck of cards, yeah, but you're going to have different piles of cards on the table. Yeah, you're going to have the Dutch piles, you're going to have post piles, you're going to have wood pile, and you're going to have a blitz pile, right? The idea of the game is to empty your blitz pile before all the other players. If you've got any number 1 cards in your deck, you have to put them in the centre of the table, and what will happen is you will have to play cards on that pile, yeah? So if you can't play any cards, you'll take 3 cards off of your hand and turn them face up onto your wood pile, and then what you do when you run out of cards, you'll count off 3 cards from your hand onto your wood pile, yeah? So the way that you win the game is by getting rid of your blitz pile. You can, what the game calls, build from any of these locations, yeah? You can build from the blitz pile, which is probably the best way to do it. You can build from the wood pile, you can build from any of your post piles, yeah? But the numbers on the post pile must follow a descending sequence, yeah? I know it sounds complicated, yeah? It did take me a little while to get my head around it, but I don't know, you're gonna have to play the game to sort of fully understand what the fuck I'm talking about, yeah? Basically what happens, if you get rid of all the cards in your blitz pile, you're gonna win the game, yeah? I love this fucking game. It's absolutely awesome, yeah? The fact that it creates such a frenzy when you're playing it does take a little bit longer with more players. I would never play this more than, say, 5 or 6 players. Yeah, even 6 is probably pushing it a little bit. But with 4 players, it is absolutely insane. If you've played Pit, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the same sort of thing, but there are tactics involved, yeah? I've seen a lot of people just sort of hang back, maybe draw cards slowly, waiting for something to happen, or I've seen people just burn through their whole hand trying to get that card that they've seen, but they haven't been able to draw it, yeah? Yeah, Dutch Blitz, yeah, it's sort of really underappreciated, yeah? I mean, I've seen this knocking about. It looks like fucking shit, yeah? But I actually picked it up because I read a couple of reviews about it, and it turns out it is absolutely fucking mental, yeah? So yeah, Dutch Blitz, probably one of the best small card games we've ever played, right? So the next game on our list of 5 more small box bangers is a game called Cover Your Assets, yeah? This is a game for 2 to 6 players, yeah? I wouldn't recommend it 2 really, because you have to change the rules and you end up with like a drafting pile and all that. But for a 3 to 6 player game, it is absolutely crazy, yeah? So what you got in this game, you've got a bunch of cards with different assets on them. They maybe have sports cars or boats or something. You've got wild cards, which are silver and gold, and you're going to have a hand of cards, and you'll have to play a pair of cards of the same suit down in front of you. This is called a set, and your opponent can basically nick your set, yeah? So the top card of your set, if one of your opponents has got a card of that suit, they can play it in front of them, and if you haven't got a card of that suit in your hand, then they can nick the whole set off the top of your stack of sets, yeah? The only way you can stop this is if you have got another card, or a silver or gold card, because they're wild, like you said, and you play that, and then it's up to them to play another card, and you go back and forth until one of you can't play the card, and whoever plays the last card gets the set, yeah? And that's basically the game, yeah? You're just going to be drawing cards from the top of a deck, trying to second guess what your opponent has in their hand, whether or not you've got enough cards in your hand to stave off a challenge attack from your opponents. And this game really does shine at 6 players because there is more chaos than the aftermath of a Gazan air raid. So yeah, cover your assets. Okay, it does come across as a little bit cheap, yeah. In the rule book, there's like a cheesy photograph of somebody who looks like Jeffrey Epstein. Strangely, the lady doesn't look like what's her face Maxwell, does she? Curious. But yeah, it's a cheap and cheerful, simple card game that might be a bit too far away for people, but me having a pea-sized brain, it suits me down to the ground. And yeah, that's cover your assets. So number 4 on our list of well, it's not our top 5 small box bangers, just 5 small box bangers that we think you should be playing today. Yeah, it's a game called Wonder Bowling. Yeah, this is a tiny dexterity game. In the box, you're going to get a couple of tokens. You're going to use the box as the bowling alley. You're going to have some mini bowling pins, and you're going to have this bizarre contraption that's got like a bowling ball on one end. Yeah, what you're going to do, you're going to set up the pins however you like. The only stipulation in the rulebook is that they've got to be in separate lanes and can't be touching. And you're going to have 2 strike tokens, and you're going to have 2 number tokens. Yeah. What you're going to do, you're going to tap the box any which way you want. If pins fall over and you have a token that matches the number of pins that are left standing, then you can turn over one of those tokens, yeah? If you don't knock over pins on your first go, you get to have another go. If you don't knock any pins over on your second go, you have to take a penalty, so that's going to give you like another token that you're going to have to fulfill. Also, if you knock over all the pins, you're going to have to take another penalty token, and if you leave one pin standing, that counts as a strike. You can either turn over one of your strike tokens, or you can turn over 2 regular tokens, yeah? First player to turn over all their tokens wins a game of Wonder Bowling, yeah? Mate, fucking awesome, this game, yeah? It reminds me of like a Habba game where you have a neoprene mat on top of the actual box, and you've got some gems on the box, and you have to bash it with a hammer, yeah? And the gems fall off, and then you take sets of gems and all that sort of thing. Kind of similar. This is a lot quicker, and it's just sort of the novelty value of the bowling, even though it's got really nothing to do with bowling, is actually quite fun, yeah? Can be explained in 2 minutes. I mean, you could play this with a fucking amoeba. It's that simple, yeah? Yeah, I said you could play it with a fucking amoeba. So yeah, Wonder Bowling, it's part of the, part of the Itten Fun Brick series, yeah? And yeah, if you like dexterity games like I do, and you like simple games that complete and utter fucktards can play with no issues, then Wonder Bowling probably right up your alleyway. In fact, I guarantee it. So the final game on our list of another 5 small box bangers is a game called The Architects of Amytis. I think that's how you pronounce it, yeah. This is a little bit more complicated than all the other games that have been on this list, yeah, but it's still relatively simple. And this is a game for 2 players only. Each player is going to get a player board, and you'll see that there's a grid system on the player board where you're going to be placing tiles, yeah. On your turn, you're going to be performing 4 steps, right? If all of your architects are on the board, you're going to have to retrieve them, and if there's a row or a line of 3 of them, you're going to have to retrieve them, yeah. Then you'll choose one of the building tiles from the display. You'll place a building tile on your player board, and then you might have to claim a king's favour, you know. So each of these tiles has got a colour on it, and it's got a suit, yeah, and each of them do different things when you place it. So for instance, if you take a garden tile, you will count the number of tiles in the stack where the garden tile was placed, and you'll gain 2 points for each of these tiles, yeah. And if you build a wall,
we're going to build a wall.
Count the number of wall tiles visible on the 4 corners of your player board. You'll gain 1 for 8 or 10 points for 1, 2, 3 or 4 corners, yeah. So you get the idea of these tiles. They all do different things, yeah. If you have placed your architects in like a tic-tac-toe style line, so like a diagonal line of 3, then you can gain a king's favour. These are going to give you points at the end of the game. So for instance, you might get a favour that gives you 3 points for each stack on your player board that contains exactly 1 tile, or you might get a favour that lets you gain 5 points for each corner of your player board that has at least 3 tiles in the stack. So all of these king's favours are going to trigger points dependent on how many tiles you've got and the way they're placed on the board. There's also project cards that you can complete. You'll see that on the project cards there are different shapes and different colours, and if you manage to arrange your buildings in the same formation, doesn't matter which way round the card goes, you could orient it whichever way you like, then you'll score a truckload of victory points at the end of the game, yeah. So the game ends when someone takes the final tile from stack and there was already another empty stack on the building supply, and you'll do all the final scoring, and then the player with the most points will win, yeah. This is probably probably one of the best two-player games that we have, I've got to say, ever played, yeah? I mean, it's up there with Lost Cities as like a phenomenal achievement, yeah? The amount of different permutations that you've got in this game, from such a simple mechanism of like placing an architect and taking a tile, dumping it on your player board, is mind-boggling, yeah? You've got loads and loads of different effects. I mean, how many you got? You've got two sides of the tiles, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's like 12 different effects. Then you've got the King's Favour effects, and you've got the projectiles to worry about. You also got that tic-tac-toe thing going on as well, yeah? So how they managed to cram so much shit into this tiny little box is like astonishing, yeah? Maybe this one should be up for some Spiel des Jahres shit this year, yeah? Because it really is that good. The architects of Amytis, themeless bullshit, yeah? It doesn't matter about the theme. It's a typical fucking Mediterranean, Persian temple crap thing, like Alhambra and all that sort of thing. But the gameplay is absolutely fucking awesome, and you really should play it if you like two-player games, yeah? So there you go. That is another bunch of small box bangers that we highly recommend you play today. Some you might have heard of, some you probably haven't heard of, but I guarantee they are all fucking out of this world, yeah? And there's no bullshit on this list. Remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel, hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. We'll see you next time.